This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, December 16th, 2021, is from the Gospel of Matthew, the 25th chapter, verses 1 through 13. Verse 1. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. In the Jewish wedding tradition, the bridegroom would build a room addition to his parents' home, or perhaps even a home on their property, for he and his bride to live in. The bride would be at her home waiting for the day, well, it would be her parents' home, waiting for the day that the groom would be done with his construction and come and get her for the ceremony and celebration reception. She would not know the exact day that he would come, but would have an idea of when it should happen based upon the construction timelines, etc., that they discussed about prior to her going to her parents' house and him starting construction. Then when the groom had completed his work, he would come with his family and friends in tow to get the bride. It would be a big procession, and word would quickly spread ahead of that procession to try to give the bride some advance notice that the groom was on his way. Jesus compares the kingdom of heaven to the 10 virgins, bridesmaids, who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom, who was on his way. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. For when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. So Jesus then says that 5 of the virgins were foolish and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps without any oil in them, so they were unprepared. And the 5 wise ones took with them flasks of oil for their lamps, so they could fill the lamps and keep them full. Verses 5 and 6. As the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a cry, "Here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him." The groom becomes delayed in his journey to pick up the bride, and all 10 virgins fall asleep waiting for him. Then at midnight they are awakened abruptly with a cry that the bridegroom is here, and an invitation to come and meet him as he processes through to the bride. Verses 7 through 10. Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps, and the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise answered, saying, "Since there will not be enough for us and for you, go rather to the dealers and buy for yourself." And while they were going to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. So it's midnight, and it's dark, and the virgins all rise and trim their lamps. The foolish ones, of course, finding they had no oil, asked the wise virgins to lend them some oil. But the wise virgins, being wise, decline, because they fear they won't have enough oil for both their lamps and the foolish virgins' lamps. So they tell the 5 foolish virgins to go to the dealers and buy oil for themselves. And while they're gone, having failed to properly prepare for the groom's return, the 5 foolish virgins miss the groom when he comes. And he and the wise virgins continue together on their journey to pick up the bride at her parents' house, and then they go to the feast. Once everyone is at the place of the feast, the venue, they shut the door. Verses 11 through 13. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But he answered, "Truly, I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour." So the poor foolish virgins, finally, with the oil in their lamps, arrive at the door where the feast is. And they knock on the door, hoping that someone will hear them and let them in. However, the groom says to them that he does not know them and refuses to let them in. He refuses to open the door for them. What a nightmare. They will not be able to get in and celebrate with the bride and groom. They were unprepared, and so they miss out on the feast. They miss out on entering the heavenly kingdom of the Lord, and that's the point. They were not prepared, and as a result, they lost out on the celebration and being part of the new kingdom. Jesus warns the people to watch, which is another way of saying stay alert, be prepared, because you and I and anybody else, we don't know when. We don't know the day nor the hour when the bridegroom will come. So, let's not let that happen to us. Let's be ready for the coming of our Lord on his wedding day to the church, when he comes again to judge the living and the dead and to gather his church up to himself. Let us be ready, filling ourselves with the oil of his word and being present to the bride, his church, in worship, in prayer, and in mission as we await his return. Go in peace. Serve the Lord.